Alright guys, so you've made it this far in life. You've played Dead by Daylight for this long with Freddy being how he is. So I've just decided to kind of make a video on my thoughts about how I would rework Freddy's power. I'm going to break this video down into two parts. The first part's going to be how to kind of alter his current power without changing it too drastically. And the second part is actually going to be pretty fun. Like I honestly, I'll be honest, this is way more of a fun power that I made up in comparison to his current power, and it's actually pretty effective too, and not too overpowered and not too weak. So definitely stay tuned for that. Timestamps are most likely in the description. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. If you like this video, show some support. So starting off with his current power, I just have some jotted down notes here. First of all, decreases teleportation cooldown. There's absolutely no need for his cooldown to be as long as it is, especially with killers like Nurse and Blight. I don't really like comparing killers to Nurse and Blight because obviously they're a problem in the game, but just a general, A to B tier killers, there's like they could traverse the map very well. Wraith, look at Wraith, even, right? He could literally traverse the map in under 10 seconds, even a big one. Okay, maybe 10 seconds is a bit of a stretch, but his teleportation cooldown should be drastically decreased so that he actually has some map pressure, because he was one of the first killers that actually started to have that kind of whole, okay, I'm here now, I could go to the other side of the map in just an instant. But he seemed to have lost his touch, especially in nowadays scenario where literally everyone, as you could just see in that hit over there, people just run to the other side of the map no matter what, and it's really hard to keep up with his very slow teleportation. Moving on to the add-ons that make his teleportation show up on every generator, I think that should be default. I'm not really gonna say much more on that. It would just help out with, people getting off gens. It would just provide a more universal slowdown every time he teleports. It could also have good synergy with perks that block generators, such as Deadlock. Dead Man Switch is what I meant to say, but still Deadlock as well. Anything that requires you to get off a generator and then it could get blocked, it would help drastically with slowdown, especially because of his mediocre power. I'm not even going to go into how weak it is, but it would definitely help. Next thing would be actually for his fake power. Sorry, for his fake pallet power. A bit of a change. So what I came up with is when a survivor drops a fake pallet, they should get injured. Like how many times I personally, like, I don't know when's the last time I played fake palette Freddy. Because I'm not, I have an IQ over -0. But when you do drop a fake pallet, you should be negatively impacted. Other than him hitting you or whacking you, say you're just a survivor and you know that a pallet's been dropped and you drop it just to get rid of it. You should be hurt for that, right? There should be some sort of trade off. Right now, someone could just run around, drop all of his fake pallets, and there will be absolutely no consequence. To even help him in a chase, if a survivor drops a fake pallet and gets injured, boom, instant down. Just whack them through the pallet. They get injured by the pallet. They get injured by your hit. That's an instant down. That would help him massively, and it would make his the prevalence of fake pallet Freddy much more viable and much more used, and not just an absolute meme. Moving on to something that I thought of. When you interact with a pool, you should have your aura revealed, right? I don't think it would make much of a difference in high ranks, but in lower ranks, especially where Freddy's aren't, that good being an M1 killer, it would definitely help with mind games around loops. For instance, LTL walls, even Shack to some extent, depending on how long the aura reading ability is. So yeah, I think that would definitely help out. And last but not least would be make the deployment of the actual make the deployment of the actual blood pools similar to that of Nurse and Pinhead's you know little hobby ho there. You know what I'm saying? Like make it so that when you hold mouse one, it goes in kind of a linear fashion, and then when you let go, it gets deployed. Because as of right now, say you're around Shack or any kind of large loop like the one in RPD, in that kind of central spot, your power may not reach the other end. So imagine how beneficial that would be if you could just kind of hold your power, the blood circle travels, and when you let go, the blood spawns in that spot. I personally think that would be a great, easy fix. It wouldn't be, game breaking or anything, and it would just help Freddy around those bigger loops, and it would make his deployment of things be much more user friendly. Because right now, it depends on the angle that you're at where you place it, and it's not really a hold and then release. I just think it would make the whole experience of making blood pools currently feel better, um, as opposed to their current state. Moving on to the actual lore accurate power and, I guess you could say, buff and changing of his power. Baby, you distracted me, you bastard. You know what? I'm gonna leave this in the video. So moving on to his lore accurate power that I've come up with, honestly, on the spot. Before I start this, I know there's been a lot of Freddy rework suggestions. One prominent one is, okay, when they go into the dream world, there's like fake generators and stuff. Like, that just doesn't really make sense to me, because honestly, any survivor with a IQ of over, one will know what's fake and what's not, especially if they're keeping track in their head. So I don't think that's a very viable solution. So what I've come up with is three distinct, um, complete reworks for Freddy. So just to outline them, he has map traversal, anti-loop, and a passive ability. So I'm going to start with this map traversal, what I've called and deemed the Soul Reaper. Very edgy, I know. So basically, this is similar to his current teleportation mechanics. You face a gen, you hold Alt or whatever your button is, Control, and it starts not just one, but multiple fake Freddy dream projections coming from all angles. So I really wanted to use Microsoft Paint for this, but I'm not that technically skilled. I'm just slightly a retard. So say this is the generator, right? And you're in butt fuck nowhere. You hold your power, start to teleport to the generator, but instead of Freddy popping up out of the generator, there's three illusionary Freddys coming from all three angles and out of the generator at the same time, and you could choose which Freddy to actually teleport to. Now, the point of this whole teleportation rework, for the first part of his rework, is so that it gives the survivors less of a known as to where he's coming from. It gives the survivor more choice, it gives the killer more choice, and that's really where the fun of the game is. My bad. My dog's a retard as well. I live with just retards. I'm joking, I love them both. So the point of this is to give the survivor and killer more choice. So say he's coming out of the generator. All right, I'm gonna stop with this visual of my fist because you know what a generator looks like. So say he's coming out of the generator and you run left, right, towards one of his fake projections, but he actually goes to that projection, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of a guessing game, right? If you run to the correct projection that's actually a projection, you get rewarded. You could run away, you could run in a straight line, and get far away from Freddy before he teleports. If you choose the wrong fake Freddy to run to, you will be punished for that because he will be teleporting to that fake Freddy that's coming. So just to reiterate his teleportation rework, I would have three Freddys approaching the generators just in linear lines, right? So that they all look the same, as well as one Freddy coming out of the generator. And you could choose, whether that be, Q or E or whatever button you want to make it. You could choose which fake Freddy you actually want to teleport to. So then the survivor has to make a smart, educated guess as to which direction to run to. If they choose one direction, they could be rewarded, and vice versa, they could be punished if they choose the wrong direction. So moving on to his actual anti-loop power. Now, this is a pretty good one, honestly. I'm pretty proud of this. I don't want to say it's similar to some other killers' powers because it's not, but it's definitely doable in the game. It's not something completely out there that's crazy. So I'm just going to get right into it. I've called it Freddy's Revenge, okay? And he could have voice lines for this stuff, especially the teleport, like, I'll drag you to hell, or come here, little boy or little girl, or whatever. I'm gonna put you to sleep. He could have anything like that, right? He could have a bunch of voice lines because I think that would add a lot of character to Freddy. Freddy's a very he's a very fun killer, right? He speaks all the time. He messes with the survivors, and I'm actually really surprised they don't have voice lines for him. Now I know he's a pretty old killer, but anyways, I digress. So his anti-loop called Freddy's Revenge. So where do I start with this? So this is basically something where you hold your power, similar to the blood pool. You hold your power, it goes in a linear line. Wherever you want it to stop, it stops. And then listen to this. When you stop, your POV goes into that blood pool and a Freddy jumps out. Okay? Now, bear with me here. So, you hold your power, you spawn a blood pool, and now once you let go, your perspective goes to that blood pool and you literally jump out as Freddy and you grab the survivor, okay? Now, I know what you guys are thinking. I'll get to that. Oh my god, that's just Nurse, but a little bit less powerful. No, all right? Trust me, stick with me on this. Once you jump out and grab the survivor, obviously that creates tension, that creates choices that you have to make, that creates a skill cap, right? Or a skill ceiling. You have to actually aim, the survivor has to dodge. Now that Freddy jumps and grabs the survivor, okay? Grabs and does some crazy voice, like, I'm gonna kill you, or something that Freddy would say, right? I'm not a great actor like the legend himself, but give him some character, okay? So, anyways, he grabs the survivor if it's a successful hit, and that survivor is held there for X amount of seconds, right? We could play around with those numbers if this ever, behavior, if you're watching this, invite me to the session where you're playing around with the numbers. Anyway, so that Freddy grabs them. Then you switch back to your actual killer perspective. You run over to them or walk over to them if you're around a loop, and then you could swipe them and hit them. Now, obviously, you could see the aura of that grabbing Freddy. You could see the aura of the survivor. That'll also help. Bear with me. You're like, oh, that's just a mediocre power. Oh, like what? So like I teleport to him, or I grab him and then I have to walk to him and stuff. Oh, that's so lame. Blah blah blah. Stick with me, all right? Stick with me. Don't. Oh, by the way, guys, if you like this, please subscribe. I'm probably at like 78 or something, but help your boy out if you like this. Hit the like button. I never liked saying that, but anyways, I digress. So that's his anti-loop power. It's not over yet. His passive ability, Perpetual Fear. When you're in the dream world, you will passively gain a status effect called Fear. Okay? Now, I forgot to mention, you start off not in the dream world, okay? But when you do get hit, you enter the dream world. And then these whole effects of his what's it called, Freddy's Revenge, only then you could be grabbed by Freddy's Revenge. So you start off in the normal world. If you get hit, or we could even bring back his old mechanic where he makes his little fire face thing and then you fall asleep, but you could still get hit, right? But you don't get the effects of the dream world. You don't get his anti-loop, Freddy's Revenge. Anyway, so his passive ability, Perpetual Fear. When you're in the dream world, you will passively gain a status effect called Fear. This gauge will slowly increase when you're in Freddy's terror radius, okay? Now, the rate of this increase obviously has to be played with, right? But that's out of scope, right? Now, when this gauge is halfway full, okay? Fear, when the survivor's fear is halfway full, they gain a status effect, if you will, where they periodically scream and reveal their aura to Freddy. This helps with tracking, right? This helps with a bunch of stuff. Even if you're around a loop, it'll help you play mind games, right? And it's not like Freddy's just getting it for free. He has to put them in the dream world in the beginning. They have to passively build this fear up. If they don't wake themselves up with the clock, which I forgot to mention could still be a mechanic for him, just normally waking up with the clock. So if you get your gauge filled up to halfway fear, you get your aura revealed to Freddy, periodically, and you start to periodically scream. This is mainly for aura reading and information. Max fear. when you get your gauge to maximum fear, Freddy's revenge power, so his anti-loot power, rather than popping out and grabbing the survivor and then warping back to your original killer perspective and going over and hitting them, you jump out and boom, you mess them up, right? So you damage them only if you're at maximum fear. And there could be a whole slew of, sound effects and music, and like the screen could go blurry a bit and wavy and stuff when you're at max fear, right? There's so much you could do with it. So, anyways, when you're at max fear, the actual technical part of why this works is not only does your Freddy's revenge power grab you, but it damages you. So it's literally now you're pretty much just a slightly weaker nurse, honestly, to be very honest, but not as broken, right? Not definitely not the range, of nurse or anything, right? You have to be around a loop. So, anyways, so you jump out and this Freddy grabs not doesn't grab you, damages you, right? And if you're already damaged, well, then you go down. I think that would be absolutely amazing. You would have to work up to it. You wouldn't just get it for free. It would be somewhere mid game that you would get it. It wouldn't be in the beginning. I think it would be a great addition to Freddy's kit if this whole conceptual design went through. So yeah, anyways, that's pretty much all I have for Freddy's rework, in my opinion. First, his original power, how we could buff it, and his lore accurate power, if you will. According to me, I honestly didn't stem my ideas from anywhere else. This is all original from my head. I'm sure, all y'all will dissect it and be like, "Oh, you're retarded for saying this. How could this be a thing?" I please encourage you to do. Again, if you like the video, show some support, please. And yeah, stay tuned for the next video. Please tell me what you guys think about this power. I personally think it's pretty proper. If you have any questions about what I meant by any of it, feel free to tell me in the comments as well. And yeah, stay tuned for my next video. It'll probably just be, one of my regular videos. Yeah, have a nice day. Hope you enjoyed.